With over 1 million animal species on our Earth, it would be difficult to categorize them into different groups. However, with the help of basic fundamental features such as level of organization, symmetry, cell organization, nature of coelom, segmentation, and notochord, scientists have classified animals into various groups. Let's understand each of these basic fundamental features in detail. Level of organization is the first basic fundamental feature that deals with the pattern of cell organization in an animal. There are 4 patterns of cell organization: cellular, tissue, organ, and organ system. Sponges exhibit a cellular level of organization where cells are loosely arranged. Tissue level of organization is more complex and is displayed in coelenterates. Here, the cells that perform the same function are arranged into tissues. Organ level of organization is exhibited in members of Platyhelminthes and other higher phyla. Here, the tissues are grouped to form organs, and each organ performs a particular function. The last cell pattern is the organ system level of organization. Here, the organs are associated with one another to form a functional system, where each system performs a specific physiological function. Animals like annelids, arthropods, molluscs, echinoderms, and chordates exhibit this level of organization. Organ systems can also differ in complexity in various animal groups. For example, Platyhelminthes have an incomplete digestive system, where a single opening outside the body serves as both the mouth and the anus, whereas humans have a complete digestive system that has 2 openings, a mouth and an anus. You will also find 2 types of circulatory systems in animals: open and closed. Symmetry is another feature by which animals are classified. They can be asymmetrical, like sponges, or have radial symmetry, like coelenterates, ctenophores, and echinoderms. However, most animals like annelids and arthropods have bilateral symmetry. Cell organization is the next feature used for classification. There are 2 types of cell organization: diploblastic and triploblastic. Coelenterates have diploblastic organization, where the germinal layers of the cell consist of an external ectoderm and an internal endoderm. Members from phylum Platyhelminthes to chordates have triploblastic organization, where a third germinal layer, the mesoderm, is found between the ectoderm and the endoderm. The 4th important feature by which animals are classified is the nature of coelom. The coelom is the body cavity lined by mesoderm. The presence or absence of this cavity helps classify animals. There are 3 categories: coelomates, acoelomates, and pseudocoelomates. Coelomates are animals that possess a body cavity, such as annelids, molluscs, arthropods, echinoderms, hemichordates, and chordates. Acoelomates are animals in which the body cavity is absent, such as Platyhelminthes. Pseudocoelomates are animals that possess a pseudocoelom, such as Helminthes. A pseudocoelom is a body cavity in which the mesoderm is not lined, but rather scattered between the ectoderm and the endoderm. Some animals are also classified on the basis of segmentation. The body of some animals can be divided externally and internally into segments. Sometimes, the segments in animals have serial repetition of some organs, which is seen in earthworms. This phenomenon is known as metamerism. One of the most important features for animal classification is the presence or absence of a notochord. Some animals develop a rod-like structure on the dorsal side during embryonic development, which is known as the notochord. Animals with a notochord are called chordates, while animals without a notochord are called non-chordates. Members of phylum Porifera to echinoderms are non-chordates. We just studied how we can classify animals into different categories on the basis of some fundamental features. Animals belonging from phylum Porifera to phylum Echinodermata are categorized as non-chordates. Non-chordates are animals without a notochord. Let's take a look at the important characteristic features of the phylum Porifera to the phylum Helminthes. The first phylum under non-chordates is Porifera. The members of this phylum are known as sponges. These are primitive, multicellular, asymmetrical, marine animals with cellular level of organization. The body of sponges is supported by a skeleton made up of spicules or spongin fibers. Sponges have a water transport or canal system which helps in food gathering, respiratory exchange, and waste removal. In this system, water enters through minute pores called the ostia into a central cavity called the spongocele and comes out through the osculum. The spongocele and the canals are lined with special cells called choanocytes or collar cells that help in the ingestion of food particles followed by intracellular digestion. Sponges are hermaphrodite and they reproduce asexually by fragmentation as well as sexually by formation of gametes. In sponges, fertilization is internal with indirect development. Cycon, spongula, and euplectula are some common examples of sponges. The second phylum is Coelenterata. The members of this phylum are aquatic, mostly marine, sessile or free-swimming, radially symmetrical, dipoblastic animals with tissue level of organization. Some coelenterids, like corals, have a skeletal structure made of calcium carbonate. Coelenterids have cnidoblasts on their tentacles and body, and hence this phylum is also known as Cnidaria. Cnidoblasts are used for anchorage, defense, and to capture prey. Coelenterids have a central gastrovascular cavity with a single opening called the hyperstome. Digestion in them is both extracellular and intracellular. Coelenterids exhibit two basic body forms, polyp and medusa. Polyp is a sessile and cylindrical form like hydra and adamsia, while medusa is umbrella-shaped and free-swimming like aurelia. Some coelenterids like Ubelia exist in both forms and exhibit alternation of generation. Polyps produce medusae asexually, and the medusae form polyps sexually. This phenomenon is called metagenesis. Some common coelenterids are Physalia, Pennatula, Gorgonia, and Meandrina. The next phylum is Ctenophora. Ctenophores are commonly known as sea walnuts or comb jellies. These animals are marine, radially symmetrical, dipoblastic, with tissue level of organization. They have 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates, which help in locomotion. Digestion in these animals is both extracellular and intracellular. A characteristic feature of ctenophores is bioluminescence, or the ability to emit light. Ctenophores are hermaphrodite and exhibit sexual reproduction. In these animals, fertilization is external with indirect development. Pleurobrachia and Ctenoplana are some common ctenophores. The next phylum is Platyhelminthes. These animals have a dorso-ventrally flattened body and are therefore called flatworms. They are bilaterally symmetrical, tripoblastic, acylomate animals with organ level of organization. Flatworms are mostly endoparasites found in the digestive system of animals, including humans. The parasitic members possess hooks and suckers, and some of them use the surface of their body to absorb nutrients directly from the host. Flatworms have specialized cells called flame cells, which help in osmoregulation and excretion. The members are hermaphrodite. Fertilization is internal and development is through many larval stages. Some members, like Planaria, possess high regeneration capacity. Taenia and Fasciola are some common flatworms. The next phylum under non-chordates is Aschelminthes. Unlike flatworms, these animals have a circular body when seen in cross-section, and hence are called roundworms. They may be aquatic or terrestrial, free-living or parasitic in plants and animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical, tripoblastic, pseudocoelomate animals with organ system level of body organization. In Aschelminthes, the alimentary canal is complete with a well-developed muscular pharynx. Body wastes are removed through the excretory pore. Roundworms are dioecious, and the females are usually longer than the males. Fertilization is internal, with direct or indirect development. Ascaris and Wuchereria are common members of this phylum. We studied how non-chordates are classified into different phyla on the basis of certain morphological and anatomical features. Let's take a look at the important characteristic features of these phyla. Let's begin with phylum Annelida. The members of this phylum may be aquatic or terrestrial, free-living or sometimes parasitic. Annelids are triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, coelomate animals with an organ system level of body organization. These animals have well-marked segments or metameres on their body. Annelids move with the help of longitudinal and circular muscles. Along with these muscles, setae are also helpful in movement. Aquatic annelids like Nereus have lateral appendages called parapodia for swimming. In annelids, the circulatory system is of closed type and has nephridia that help in osmoregulation and excretion. Each nephridium is a complex organ. The nervous system consists of paired ganglia that are connected to a double ventral nerve cord by lateral nerves. Annelids are both dioecious and monoecious. Nereus is dioecious, while Ferrotima and Hierodinaria are monoecious and exhibit sexual reproduction. Ferretima and Hierodinaria are some common annelids. The next phylum, Arthropoda, is the largest phylum of Animalia. Arthropods are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, segmented, coelomate animals with an organ system level of organization. Their body is divided into the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. These animals are characterized by the presence of jointed appendages and a chitinous exoskeleton. Arthropods respire through the gills, book lungs, or tracheal system, and have an open circulatory system. The Malpighian tubules in them function as the excretory organs. Arthropods possess sensory organs like antennae, simple and compound eyes, and statocysts. In arthropods, the sexes are separate and fertilization is usually internal. They are mostly oviparous, with direct or indirect development. Some common arthropods are Apis, Bombax, Locusta, and Heterometrus. Phylum Mollusca is the second largest phylum of Animalia. Mollusks are terrestrial or aquatic animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomate animals with an organ system level of organization. The body has a distinct head, a muscular foot, and a visceral hump, and is covered by a calcareous shell. Above the visceral hump is a soft and spongy layer of skin, which forms the mantle. The space between the visceral hump and the mantle is called the mantle cavity, which bears feather-like gills. These gills help in respiration and excretion. The sensory tentacles on the head region are used for locating prey, while the radulae in the mouth are used for feeding. In mollusks, the sexes are separate, and they are oviparous and exhibit indirect development. Phyla, Pinctada, Sepia, Loligo, and octopus are some common mollusks. The last phylum under non-chordates is Echinodermata. Echinoderms have an endoskeleton made up of calcareous ossicles. They are marine, triploblastic, coelomate animals with organ system level of organization. Adult echinoderms are radially symmetrical, but the larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. Echinoderms have a complete digestive system with the mouth on the ventral side and the anus on the dorsal side. The presence of a water vascular system is the most distinctive feature of echinoderms. This system helps in locomotion, capture of prey, transportation of food, and respiration. However, they have no excretory system. Echinoderms are dioecious and exhibit sexual reproduction. Fertilization is usually external and development is indirect with free-swimming larvae. Some common echinoderms are Asterias, Ichinus, Antodon, and Ophiura. We studied how non-chordates are classified into different phyla on the basis of certain morphological and anatomical features. Let's begin with phylum Hemichordata. Earlier, this phylum was considered a subphylum under chordates. However, due to certain features, taxonomists have classified this phylum as non-chordates. Let's take a look at the characteristic features of this phylum. Hemichordates are small, worm-like marine animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomate animals with an organ system level of organization. Their cylindrical body is divided into proboscis, collar, and trunk. Hemichordates respire through gills and have an open circulatory system. The proboscis gland functions as an excretory organ. Hemichordates are dioecious and fertilization is external with indirect development. Balanoglossus and Saccoglossus are examples of this phylum. Now, let's take a look at the characteristic features of phylum Chordata. Chordates are animals with a notochord, a dorsal, hollow nerve cord, paired pharyngeal gill slits, and a postanal tail. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomate animals with an organ system level of organization and a closed circulatory system. Phylum Chordata is divided into three subphyla: Urochordata or Tunicata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Subphyla Urochordata and Cephalochordata are also referred to as protochordates. These animals are found only in marine habitat. Urochordates have a notochord only in the larval tail, while cephalochordates have a persistent notochord which extends from head to tail region. Ascidia and Doliolum are examples of urochordates, while Branchiostoma is an example of cephalochordates. Members of subphylum Vertebrata possess a notochord during the embryonic period, which is later replaced by a cartilaginous or a bony vertebral column. Vertebrates have a 2, 3 or 4-chambered heart for circulation of blood, kidneys for excretion and osmoregulation, and paired appendages which could be either fins or limbs. We have studied how animals are classified as hemichordates and chordates on the basis of certain morphological and anatomical features. The subphylum Vertebrata is classified under phylum Chordata. This phylum includes animals with a notochord in the embryonic stage, which is later replaced by a vertebral column. Hence, all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Based on the presence or absence of jaws, vertebrates are classified into two divisions, Agnatha and Gnathostomata. Agnatha includes jawless vertebrates, while Gnathostomata includes jawed vertebrates. Agnatha has just one class, Cyclostomata. These jawless vertebrates live in a marine habitat and are ectoparasites on some fish. Cyclostomes have an elongated body with 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. However, their body is devoid of scales and paired fins. They have a sucking and circular mouth, a cartilaginous cranium and a vertebral column, and a closed circulatory system. The life cycle of cyclostomes is unique. They migrate to fresh water to spawn and die within a few days, leaving their larvae, which, after metamorphosis, return to the ocean. Petromyzon and myxine are examples of cyclostomes. Gnathostomata, or jawed vertebrates, are divided into two superclasses, Pisces and Tetrapoda. Pisces is further divided into two classes, Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. Chondrichthyes are marine fish with a streamlined body and a cartilaginous endoskeleton. Interestingly, the notochord is persistent throughout their lifespan. Their skin is tough due to the presence of minute placoid scales. In fact, their teeth are modified placoid scales. Unlike other fish, their gill slits are separate and the operculum is absent. Moreover, the absence of the air bladder forces them to swim constantly to remain buoyant. These fish are cold-blooded or poikilotherm and have a two-chambered heart with one auricle and one ventricle. They also have powerful jaws that make them good predators. Some of them also have an electric organ or a poison sting to protect themselves from predators. Chondrichthyes are dioecious, and the pelvic fins in males have claspers. Fertilization in these fish is internal, and many of them are viviparous. Carcharinus, Scoliodon, Pristis, and Trigon are examples of this class. The next class within Pisces is Osteichthyes. These are marine and freshwater fish with a streamlined body and a bony endoskeleton. Their skin is covered with cycloid or ctenoid scales. These fish have 4 pairs of gills, which are covered by an operculum and an air bladder, which maintains buoyancy. They too are cold-blooded and have a two-chambered heart. Osteichthyes are dioecious, and fertilization is usually external. They are largely oviparous and exhibit direct development. Hippocampus and Exocetus are marine fish, while Labeo, Catula, and Clarius are freshwater fish. while some fish like betta and pterophyllum are used in aquariums. The remaining 4 classes are placed under the superclass Tetrapoda, which means animals with limbs. Amphibians are adapted to aquatic as well as terrestrial habitats. Their body is divided into a head and trunk. While most of them have 2 pairs of limbs, some don't have a tail while others do. Their skin is always moist and lacks scale. Their eyes are covered by eyelids. Behind the eyes is a pair of tympanum, which represents the ears. In amphibians, the alimentary canal and urinary and reproductive tracts open into a common chamber called the cloaca, which opens to the exterior. Adult amphibians breathe through lungs and skin, while the larvae breathe through their exterior gills. These animals are cold-blooded with a 3-chambered heart. In amphibians, the sexes are separate and fertilization is external. They are oviparous and exhibit direct or indirect development. Bufo, rana, hyla, and salamandra are common examples of this class. The next class, Reptilia, includes animals that creep or crawl. Reptiles are largely terrestrial animals, and their body is covered by dry and cornified skin and epidermal scales or scutes. They have external ear openings, and the tympanum represents the ear. Except for snakes, reptiles have 2 pairs of limbs. Reptiles are cold-blooded and usually have a 3-chambered heart. However, crocodiles have a 4-chambered heart. Some reptiles, such as snakes and lizards, shed their skin. In reptiles, the sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are oviparous and exhibit direct development. Some common reptiles are chelone, testudo, chameleon, crocodilus, and naja. The next class is aves, which consists of birds. Members of this class are characterized by feathers. Their forelimbs are modified into wings, while their hind limbs generally have scales and are modified for walking, swimming, or clasping. Although most birds can fly, some like the ostrich, kiwi, and penguin have structures that make them incapable of flying. These birds have a fully ossified or bony endoskeleton. However, their long bones are hollow due to air cavities. This makes their bodies light and adapted to flying. Moreover, except for oil glands at the base of the tail, they possess no other glands, due to which their skin is dry. Birds use beaks to eat. The food then reaches the digestive tract, which has a crop and a gizzard, which are additional chambers. Birds are warm-blooded or homeotherm, with a 4-chambered heart. They respire through lungs, and air sacs connected to their lungs supplement respiration. In birds, the sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are oviparous and exhibit direct development. Malurus, Corvus, Columba, Psittacula, Struthio, and Parvo are some common examples. The last class under subphylum Vertebrata is Mammalia. Mammals are found in a variety of habitats: polar ice caps, deserts, mountains, forests, grasslands, and dark caves. These vertebrates have certain unique features such as mammary glands, which produce milk, and hair on their skin. They also have 2 pairs of limbs and 1 pair of external ears or pinnae, along with different types of teeth to tear, bite, cut, and crush. Mammals respire through lungs. They are warm-blooded and have a 4-chambered heart. In mammals, the sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are viviparous. However, some are oviparous and exhibit direct development. Panthera leo, Canis, Macaca, Camelus, Bos, and Delphinus are viviparous mammals, while Ornithorhynchus is an oviparous mammal. Each class under subphylum Vertebrata can be distinguished based on certain morphological and anatomical features.